I collected my daughter-in-law's coat from the cleaner. The owner, an old friend, pulled me close and whispered, "Take your grandkids and go." Before sunrise, shocked, I asked why. He revealed a bag. It was hidden in her coat. When I peered inside, I froze and demanded to know why. Can you imagine the kind of betrayal that makes your stomach churn, makes your heart ache with a pain so deep you can barely breathe? Because I found myself living that nightmare. I discovered the woman I loved like my own child, my daughter-in-law, was not only planning to abandon my son, but was actually conspiring to sell my innocent grandchildren as if they were nothing more than merchandise. It all started on a sweltering evening. I was heading home from the market, my arms aching from a heavy basket, when I passed Arthur's dry cleaning. Chloe, my daughter-in-law, had given me the claim ticket that morning. Just one more errand, she'd rushed. "Mom, can you pick up my wool coat? Meetings all day." I didn't think twice. I always did these things for my kids, you know? So I pulled out that wrinkled yellow ticket and walked inside. The familiar smell of fabric softener and steam hit me. Arthur, the old man who owned the place, was behind the counter, flipping through his notebook. He usually sent his young helper, but this time, he took my ticket, gave me a strange look, and disappeared into the back himself. He moved so slowly, almost like he was trying to buy time. I didn't worry then. I just stood there, idly stroking my basket, my mind already drifting to what I'd cook for my sweet Sophia and Leo that night. Arthur came back, holding Chloe's coat, wrapped in plastic that still smelled fresh. But he didn't hand it over. He stopped, glancing around the empty shop like he was checking for spies. Before I could even ask what was wrong, his rough, calloused hand gripped my arm. "Eleanor," he whispered, his voice hoarse, "come here. You need to see this." He pulled me behind a tattered curtain, where the smell of bleach and steam was suffocating. Piles of clothes were stacked everywhere, hiding something. With trembling hands, he opened a rickety drawer and pulled out a small, clear plastic bag. My heart literally stopped. Inside, a bank transfer receipt, stamped red, with a figure so massive I had to stare at it. Millions of dollars. Who keeps something like that in a coat pocket? And then, next to the money, a photograph. It was Sophia and Leo, my sweet grandchildren, their innocent faces defaced with angry, crooked red circles. It looked like something drawn in a fit of rage, or worse, with dark intent. The blood in my veins turned to ice. My hands went cold as stone. "Arthur," I stammered, my voice breaking. "What is this?" He just shook his head, his eyes wide with a fear so deep it almost consumed him. "Eleanor," he pleaded, his voice harsh, "you have to get the children out. Immediately. Don't waste a second. You must be gone before sunrise." I wanted answers, a full explanation, but he just pressed the bag into my hand, repeating, "I can't keep this here. It's too terrifying." I grabbed the coat, my hand shaking so violently I almost dropped it, and tucked that terrifying bag deep into my pocket. It felt like I was carrying a ticking bomb. Leaving the dry cleaner, my steps were so uncertain, like I was walking on air. My market basket tipped, sending tomatoes rolling across the sidewalk. The world outside continued its usual symphony of bus brakes, street vendors, children's laughter. But all I could hear was Arthur's voice, insistent, echoing like a funeral bell, before sunrise. That night, as the sky swallowed the last light of dusk, I stumbled home. My feet felt like stones, each step heavy with dread. That plastic bag, holding its horrifying secret, burned in my pocket like a curse. Our big house, usually buzzing with Sophia and Leo's laughter, was now eerily silent, cloaked in an icy emptiness Chloe had left behind. My son, Ben, was hundreds of miles away on a business trip. It was just me and my 2 little grandchildren. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Chloe. "Mom, unexpected meeting. Very late. Please take care of the kids." I stared at the screen, a nameless anxiety rising in my chest. Was it true? Or was this just an excuse, a cover for something far darker? I walked into the living room. Sophia, my 7-year-old with those bright, round eyes, was focused on building a little block house. "Grandma, look! My house has a chimney!" she beamed, her voice clear as a bell. 4-year-old Leo was next to her, humming to his plastic dinosaur. My heart clenched. Just hours before, I thought they were safe, loved. Now, Those angry red circles on the photo haunted me, an invisible threat creeping closer. I forced a smile, stroking Sophia's head. It's beautiful, my love. Rest a bit. Grandma will make dinner. But inside, my mind was a whirlwind. Arthur's urgent whisper wouldn't stop. Before sunrise. I didn't know what I was running from, but my instincts, as a mother and a grandmother, screamed that Sophia and Leo couldn't stay here another minute. I slipped into my bedroom, locked the door, and with a trembling hand dialed Grace. My friend, a nurse, who'd been with me through thick and thin, raising our kids, those endless nights at the hospital with my husband. If there was anyone I could trust, it was her. Hello, Grace? It's Eleanor, I whispered, my voice cracking with raw worry. I need your help. Do you know a reliable taxi? One that can make a long trip tonight. There was a pause. Grace must have heard the desperation in my voice. Eleanor, what's wrong? Why the rush? I took a shaky breath, fighting back tears. I can't explain right now. I just need a cab, as soon as possible. She didn't press. Just a brief. I'll call my brother. He's a driver. Very discreet. Give me 10 minutes. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me, and hung up with my heart a tight, aching knot. In the kitchen, my hands flew. Bread, cheese, their favorite cookies, water bottles. I stuffed them into a small bag. I had no idea where we were going, just that my grandchildren couldn't be hungry or helpless. I glanced into the living room. Sophia and Leo were laughing, building a bridge with blocks. Their carefree joy was like a knife twisting in my gut. They had no clue of the storm about to break. For a second, I wondered, was I overreacting? Was this all a misunderstanding? But then that image, those red circles on their innocent faces, flashed in my mind. No, I had no choice. I rushed to their room, yanking clothes from the closet. Sophia's blue sweater, Leo's superhero pajamas, a handful of socks. Their cherished yarn doll and toy car. Everything got thrown haphazardly into a suitcase. No time for neatness. The flickering streetlights through the window made my heart pound. I pulled the curtains shut. This town was too small, too nosy. Then my phone buzzed again. Grace. Taxi's here. Corner. My brother Mike. Trust him. I took a deep, shaky breath. I knelt beside Sophia. Let's go, my love, I whispered, trying to sound cheerful. Put on your coat. We're going for a night ride. Her eyes widened. A night ride? Where, Grandma? To a very fun place, I lied, my smile a fragile mask. But we have to leave. Now. Leo started to fuss, sleepy, but a piece of candy quickly turned his frown into a wide grin. I scooped him up, took Sophia's hand, and practically ran for the taxi. The hallway felt endless, my sandals dragging. I buckled them into the back seat, Sophia clutching her doll, Leo already dozing on her shoulder. I sat beside them, gripping the suitcase, my heart heavy, heavy. The driver, Mike, Grace's brother, watched me in the rearview mirror, his face concerned. Where to, ma'am, at this hour? He asked. I swallowed hard. The bus station, please. As fast as you can. The car pulled away, leaving our house behind, sinking into the darkness like a tomb of secrets and betrayals. The bus station at midnight was pure chaos. Neon lights flickered, street vendors shouted, suitcases screeched across the concrete. A dizzying symphony of disorder. But paradoxically, that chaos made me feel safer, like we could just vanish into the crowd, escaping whatever invisible eyes were watching us. I held Sophia's hand tight. Leo was a warm, heavy weight on my shoulder, his soft breaths a constant reminder of why I had to stay strong, even as I felt utterly broken. 3 tickets to Charleston, I managed, trying to keep my voice steady at the counter. The last bus of the day. The agent, a man with a messy mustache, just grunted, leaving immediately. Get on quick. I paid, then turned to Sophia, forcing another smile. We're going to visit a distant relative. It'll be a fun adventure. Her big eyes were full of innocent curiosity. Which relative, Grandma? Do I know them? I gently stroked her head, unable to meet her gaze. An old family member, sweetheart. You haven't met them yet. Get some sleep. It's a long ride. She nodded, clutching her yarn doll, watching the blurring lights from the bus window as we pulled away. Leo stayed asleep on my shoulder, his toy car still clutched in his tiny hand. I watched the streetlights fade. Charleston. It was the only place I could think of, where my husband and I had started our life, where Ben was born, where I once felt safe. I prayed it would be a refuge, even if temporary. But deep down, I knew I wasn't just running. I was searching for a way to face a truth I didn't yet dare to name. When we arrived, dawn was just breaking. The pale light filtered through the old rooftops. I carried Leo, holding Sophia's hand, as we found a small, nondescript motel hidden behind the central square. The room was cramped, smelled faintly of dampness, with faded sheets on the double bed. I tucked them in, and Sophia murmured in her sleep, "Grandma, where's Mommy?" That question felt like a dagger twisting in my heart. I just stroked her head. "Sleep, sweetie. Your Mommy's busy. She'll be here soon." But I knew it was a lie. Chloe, the daughter-in-law I'd loved like my own, was now a dark enigma, a shadow I was terrified to confront. I sat by the window, hands clasped, mind racing. That plastic bag, heavy as a curse, was still in my pocket. The receipt, the red circles on the photo, Arthur's terrifying warning, a monstrous puzzle I had no idea how to solve. My son, Ben, was so far away. I longed to call him, to pour out everything, but every time I picked up the phone I hesitated. What if I was wrong? What if this was all a misunderstanding and I destroyed his family? But what if I was right? How could I tell him the woman he loved, the mother of his children, could be capable of such betrayal? In that swirling confusion, an idea sparked. Father Michael. The elderly priest in Charleston had been my rock when my husband died, holding my hand through my darkest days. If anyone could help me find a way, it was him. The next morning, I woke Sophia and Leo, faking a cheerfulness I didn't feel. "Come to church with Grandma, and we'll get ice cream after." Leo lit up. "Chocolate, Grandma." I managed a smile, though worry still gnawed at me. We walked to St. Francis Church. Its ancient stone walls and the gentle chime of bells offered a rare, fleeting sense of calm. Sophia held my hand. Leo scampered ahead, his toy car dangling. All I could do was pray to preserve their innocence. Father Michael, his white hair shining, his kind, piercing eyes finding mine, recognized me instantly. "Eleanor, it's been too long. What brings you and your grandchildren here? Is something wrong?" I just nodded, unable to speak. After Mass, I let Sophia and Leo play in the churchyard. Then, in a small, quiet room behind the altar, filled with the comforting smell of old wood and melted wax, I finally gathered my courage. I told him everything. About Chloe's coat, the massive transfer receipt, and that horrifying photo of Sophia and Leo with those chilling red circles. My hand shook as I gave him the plastic bag. Father Michael was silent for a long time, his hands clasped, his face hardening with each second. Finally, he sighed, his voice grave. "Eleanor, this is beyond a priest's help. This isn't just a family matter. This is a far greater danger. You need someone who understands the law." He looked at me, deep concern in his eyes. "I know someone. Victoria. A good lawyer, a parishioner here. She'll know what to do." A tiny spark of hope flickered in the darkness. That afternoon, in the small confessional, I met Victoria. Young, maybe early 30s, with sharp eyes that seemed to see right through you. She put on latex gloves, like a pro, and carefully examined the receipt under the dim yellow light. "This transaction code belongs to a ghost company," she said, her fingers flying across her laptop. "Registered through an offshore account. Non-existent." She paused, pointing to a name. "Signed by Julian Cortez." That name meant nothing to me, but Victoria and Father Michael exchanged a look, a knowing, grim glance. "That man is involved in financial fraud and money laundering," Victoria explained, her voice low. "This isn't simple, Eleanor." My hands on the wooden table began to tremble. "But why my grandchildren?" I choked out. "Why are their faces marked in red?" She didn't answer right away, just looked at me with deep compassion. "We need to investigate more. But first, you and the children must stay here, where you'll be safe. I'll contact trusted colleagues." Father Michael put a firm, gentle hand on my shoulder. "God will protect you. But you must be strong for them." As we left the church, the bells ringing behind us, I hugged Sophia and Leo tight. For the first time in days, I felt like I wasn't utterly alone. The next day, my heart was burning. I left Sophia and Leo playing in Grace's yard, my dear nurse friend, who'd offered to watch them. Through the wooden fence, I watched Sophia teach Leo how to blow soap bubbles, their crystal laughter filling the sunny air. I smiled, but it felt so heavy, like every second of their innocence was stolen time. Grace, I asked, trying to sound normal, can you watch them for a day? I have important personal matters back home. Her sharp eyes probed me, but she simply nodded. Don't worry, Eleanor. They'll be fine. Pudding and stories. I squeezed her hand, my gratitude infinite, and then I was on the first bus back to my town. That plastic bag, my horrifying secret, still burned in my pocket. The landscape blurred past, but all I saw were those 2 red circles on Sophia and Leo's faces. Was I doing the right thing? Leaving them to return to this dangerous place? But I knew, deep down, if I truly wanted to protect them, I had to uncover the truth, no matter how cruel. Our family home appeared as the bus pulled into the last stop. It was silent, cold. No longer the home Ben and I had built. Now, it felt like a crime scene, waiting for me to expose its dark secrets. My hand trembled as I used the spare key. The gate's squeak echoed in the silence, making me jump. The street was deserted. I went inside, locking the door behind me, feeling like I was stepping into another world where everything I believed was about to shatter. The living room was exactly as I'd left it. Chloe's blanket draped carelessly, a half-empty coffee cup with dried foam. The air was heavy, thick with unspoken secrets. I didn't waste a second. I went straight to Ben and Chloe's bedroom. Under the closet, the small gray safe was still there, a silent accomplice. And then I remembered. Ben's birthday, a few months ago. Chloe, after a few too many tequilas, had blurted out the combination. Mom, you wouldn't believe it. Ben always tells me to change it. But I like May 12th, 2018, our wedding day. At the time, I just laughed. Now, that sequence was the key to unlocking a horrific truth. I knelt, dragging the dust-covered safe out. My hands shook as I turned each number, 1-2-0-5-1-8. The dry click echoed like a gunshot in the silent room. My heart leaped. I pulled open the heavy door, breathing in ragged gasps. Inside, stacks of dollar bills. Neatly piled. A green glow. Tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. A sum my family had never dreamed of. Next to them, a pile of fake passports. Fake IDs with strange names. Maria Gonzalez, Juan Alvarez, Sofia Morales. I flipped through them, my heart pounding as if I were reading a list of ghosts. In a corner, 2 sealed cell phones. But what truly stole my breath were the papers at the bottom. 3 business-class plane tickets. Chicago to Madrid. In the names of Chloe, Sophia, and Leo. Ben's name was not there. I checked and rechecked, hoping for a mistake. But the cold, hard truth was a knife twisting in my chest. Chloe wasn't just leaving. She was planning to escape. To take my grandchildren. To abandon my son like he was an obstacle. I pulled out one last envelope, my hands trembling uncontrollably. Inside a photo, Chloe, beaming, next to an elegant man in a black suit. On the back, scrawled, "My Cortez, Julian Cortez," the name from that bank transfer receipt. The room started to spin. The air grew thick, suffocating. I crumpled to the floor, the photo falling from my grasp. Chloe, my sweet daughter-in-law, the one I'd loved like my own, who cooked with me, who cried on my shoulder when Ben had work trouble. That woman was betraying us all. Not just Ben, but planning to take Sophia and Leo as part of some monstrous deal. I thought of Sophia's innocent drawings, of Leo hugging my legs. How could she be so cruel? How could she mark their little faces with red, like they were merchandise? Suddenly, the familiar rumble of Mr. Henderson's truck outside made me jump. Panic. I scrambled, shoving everything back into the safe, trying to make it look untouched. My hand shook so violently I dropped a passport, but I snatched it up, slammed the safe shut, pushed it back into place. My heart hammered like a guilty drum. I stood, wiping sweat from my forehead, trying to calm myself. As I headed out, I spotted a torn envelope from a foreign bank in the kitchen trash. Instinctively, I grabbed it, tucked it into my jacket. The door slammed behind me. I walked out onto the street, floating, numb. In my pocket, I carried the undeniable proof of a terrible, terrible plan. Chloe and Cortez were escaping with a fortune, abandoning Ben, and worst of all, taking my 2 grandchildren with them. As part of the deal, back at the Charleston motel, my legs felt like lead. That horrible evidence from the house still burned in my pocket. Sophia and Leo were just waking from their nap, rubbing their eyes. "Grandma, when are we going home to Mommy?" Sophia asked, her innocent eyes wide. Her question was a knife in my chest. I knelt, forced a smile, and stroked her hair. "Soon, my love. Mommy's busy. Just a few more days with Grandma, okay?" My throat closed up. I couldn't say more. Leo, hugging his dinosaur, demanded cookies, and I gave him a pack just to hide my trembling hands. I took them to the motel courtyard, where an old swing set offered a semblance of normalcy. "Play for a while. Grandma will watch," I told them, trying to sound calm. But inside, I felt like I was teetering on a cliff's edge. The money, the fake passports, the tickets, Chloe's photo with Cortez, it wouldn't stop tormenting me. I couldn't keep running, couldn't keep hiding from the truth. But how could I protect them if their own mother, the one I trusted, was part of this nightmare? Later that afternoon, Victoria arrived, quick-stepping, her eyes sharp with concern. With her were 2 men in plain clothes, but their posture, their cold professionalism, spoke volumes. Federal agents. "Ma'am, I'm Agent Miller," one said, his voice grave. "This is Agent Davis. We need to see everything." I nodded and led them to our cramped room. The small wooden table became the altar of our terrible truth. I spread it all out. The massive transfer receipt, the foreign bank envelope, Chloe's smiling photo with Cortez, those 3 plane tickets to Madrid, the stack of fake passports. Each item was a fresh stab, a chilling reminder of Chloe's betrayal. Agent Davis took one of the sealed cell phones, connecting it to a device. His laptop screen exploded with lines of code. "We can recover deleted data," he said, not looking up. "These things usually hold more than people think." I sat, hands clasped, heart hammering. Sophia and Leo's distant laughter drifted from the courtyard, but I didn't dare look. I knew if I lost control for even a second, the pain suffocating me would erupt. After what felt like an eternity, Davis turned the screen. A photo folder. And there it was again, Sophia and Leo. Their innocent faces circled in red marker, distorted by a cruel, calculated intention. I gasped, the air sucked from my lungs. Agent Miller pointed. "Ma'am, this isn't a personal mark. It's a symbol used in human trafficking networks." Trafficking. The word hit me like a thunderclap, leaving me paralyzed. He zoomed in, revealing tiny numbers. A transaction code. The red circle means target selected. The children are part of a much larger plan. I instinctively wanted to run, to hug my grandchildren, shield them from this unspeakable evil. My eyes filled with tears, but I refused to let them fall. Not in front of the agents. "You mean," I whispered, barely audible, "they plan to sell my grandchildren?" Miller nodded, his gaze filled with compassion. "We don't know the whole plan, but this evidence points to an organized criminal network. And the woman in this photo," he pointed to Chloe, "is most likely an accomplice." Victoria put a trembling hand on my shoulder. "Eleanor, this is no longer a family matter. This is an extremely serious criminal case. We will protect the children." But her words couldn't calm the storm raging inside me. Chloe, the daughter-in-law I'd loved, who was with me when Leo was born, who shared so many family laughs. How could she be so cruel? How could she turn her own children, her own blood, into targets for such a dirty business? Davis continued typing, retrieving deleted messages. One flashed on screen, short, brutally cold. 2 targets selected. In short, timely delivery. Sent from Chloe's number to an unknown recipient. Signed JC. Julian Cortez. My blood froze. She really did this. I murmured, not knowing who I was talking to. Victoria squeezed my hand. "Eleanor, I know this pain is unbearable, but you have to be strong for them." The agents gave me strict instructions. Stay calm. Act normal. Do not communicate with Chloe. She couldn't know what I'd discovered. I nodded, my heart a tangled mess. How could I pretend? How could I look into Sophia's and Leo's eyes, knowing their mother had planned to sell them as merchandise? I brought them back to the room, forcing myself to play with them. Grandma, tell the vampire story, Leo insisted, climbing onto my lap. My voice broke as I told it, like I was lost in my own nightmare. Sophia sat coloring, humming. I looked at their innocent faces, my chest aching, torn apart. They were so carefree, so oblivious to how close they'd come to being shattered by the very mother they loved. Outside, black clouds gathered, and a sudden downpour lashed against the motel roof, mirroring the chaos in my heart. I drew the curtains, holding them close, trying to shield them from both the storm outside and the storm within me. The next morning, an unmarked black car pulled up. No license plate, no lights, but I knew. Victoria had called. "Eleanor, today we plan everything," she'd said, her voice confident but with a hint of strain. I quickly pulled on a sweater. I woke Sophia and Leo. "Stay with Grace today," I said, trying to force a smile. "Grandma's going to see an old friend." Sophia's big, curious eyes searched mine, but Leo just nodded, munching a cookie. I kissed their foreheads, then got into the car, my heart heavy as if I were carrying the whole world. The federal police office was on a nondescript side street, no sign. Inside, the air smelled of stale coffee and old paper. Victoria was waiting with 3 officers, Miller, Davis, and Officer Hayes, whose gaze was both stern and unexpectedly kind. "Eleanor, this is a major international crime ring," Miller began, his voice grave. "We need your cooperation to catch Chloe and Cortez." They laid out the plan. Create a fake disappearance of Sophia and Leo to make Chloe and Cortez panic, revealing their movements. "We'll monitor their communications," Hayes explained, pointing to a city map. "Listening devices on Chloe's phone tracking Cortez. Once they contact each other, we'll have enough evidence." My heart tightened. "And my grandchildren? Will they be safe?" I asked, my voice trembling, unable to hide my raw fear. Hayes placed a firm hand on my shoulder. "Absolutely safe. We have a secure shelter. You can video call them anytime." They took me to another room. Sophia was coloring, Leo building with Legos, babbling about a spaceship. Seeing them, so innocent, so unaware that their own mother was their biggest threat, I felt tears well up. "The children will stay here with me," the social worker promised, her voice soft. "I'll care for them as if they were my own." I nodded, hugging Sophia and Leo one last time, feeling like I was leaving a piece of my heart behind. That night, back in the cramped motel room, I sat, phone in hand, waiting. Victoria and Davis were with me, the listening device on the table, the laptop screen glowing with monitored messages. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Chloe, frantic. "Mom, where are you? The kids are gone. I've called the police. I'm scared to death." My heart clenched. How could she fake this? How could she write those words when she was the one planning to take them? Davis shook his head, motioning me not to answer. Let her get tangled up on her own. Half an hour later, Chloe's phone called an unknown number. The listening device crackled to life. Her voice, nervous, trembling. "Cortez, the children are gone. I had everything ready, but I can't find them anywhere." Cortez's gruff, annoyed voice responded. "Calm down. We can't back out now. Tickets are bought. The buyer is waiting. If we don't have the merchandise, we're in big trouble." Merchandise. The word was a knife twisting in my gut. My innocent Sophia and Leo. Called merchandise. I clenched my fists, nails digging into my palms, fighting back a scream. I wanted to tear Chloe apart, but Davis just gave me a cold look, motioning for silence. The call ended, but Chloe kept messaging Cortez. "If we don't find them, the whole plan falls apart. You have to do something." Davis actually smiled, a cold, grim smile. "Let it fall apart. That's how it should be. This confession is irrefutable evidence for trial." Victoria squeezed my hand. "Eleanor, we're almost done." But her voice broke, as if she felt my pain too. I sat there, cold, clasped hands, caught between deep fear and a strange, awful relief. Relief because Chloe and Cortez were digging their own graves, but the pain still crushed my chest. I thought of Chloe then, not the criminal, but the shy young woman who'd first joined our family. Kneading bread in my kitchen, sharing dreams of a small shop. I'd loved her, believed she was family. Now, every memory was a fresh wound, tearing me apart. Outside, the night was thick, starless. I heard the soft rumble of unmarked cars, parked silently, like predators waiting. I looked at Victoria, at Davis, and knew I was in a chess game, its ending unknown. "Eleanor," Victoria said, her voice low but firm, "you did the right thing. You saved your grandchildren." I nodded, but deep inside a doubt whispered, had I truly saved them, or just dragged them into a new nightmare? That night, Charleston was swallowed by darkness. I was in a federal police command vehicle, 2 blocks from a seedy hotel. The air was thick with engine oil and cold coffee, making it hard to breathe. Victoria sat beside me, her gaze like steel, but her hands clasped tight with tension. Officer Hayes, her voice deep and clear, adjusted the radio. "Eleanor, just stay here and listen. We'll handle everything." But how could I be calm? My heart hammered, threatening to burst from my chest. Sophia and Leo were safe, I knew, but the mere thought of witnessing Chloe's final betrayal made me tremble. Sharp commands crackled over the radio. "Alpha Team, northeast corner. Bravo Team, rear exit. Target heading to meeting point." My nails dug into my palms. Victoria murmured, "Eleanor, it'll all be over tonight. You did the right thing." I nodded, tears already streaming. The right thing. All I'd done was run and ask for help. But deep down, I knew there was no other choice. I had to protect my grandchildren, even if it meant facing the gut-wrenching truth about the woman I'd loved like a daughter. Hayes turned on the live feed. Chloe's voice, shaky and fast, echoed through the car. "Cortez, I don't understand. Where are those 2? Without them, what are we going to deliver in the deal?" That word, deal, cut me like a knife. It made me want to scream, to lash out. How could she speak of Sophia and Leo, her own children, as if they were nothing more than merchandise? Cortez's gruff voice shot back. "Shut up. Let's go to the hotel. The intermediary is waiting. If we don't bring the merchandise, we're finished." I held my breath. Intermediary. Merchandise. Needles in my chest. This wasn't just betrayal. This was monstrous. Hayes whispered into the radio. "Target has entered the parking lot. Prepare to move in." Through the microphone, I heard a dull thud, a car door closing, then rapid footsteps on concrete. I pictured Chloe and Cortez, tense, oblivious, walking straight into the trap. Suddenly, a shout tore through the quiet. "Federal police! Hands up!" The thunder of boots, the click of flashlights, and then Chloe's sharp scream, so piercing it ripped through the night. "No. It can't be." I heard sounds of a struggle. "Cortez, run!" Chloe shrieked, but an officer immediately barked. "Freeze. Hands up or I'll shoot." A thud. Cortez hitting the ground. "Don't move." Then, the metallic click of handcuffs. Chloe was sobbing, her voice in pieces. "You're mistaken. I didn't do anything." But then her purse fell, stacks of money spilling onto the pavement. A cold voice. "Do you have anything else to say?" I couldn't hold back anymore. Tears streamed down my face. Was it relief? Or the agonizing pain of knowing Chloe, whom I cherished as a daughter, was truly willing to sell my grandchildren? Victoria squeezed my hand. "Eleanor, they've got them. The children are safe." But the pain didn't subside. I thought of Chloe's laughter, our shared dreams. All gone. Replaced by a ghost, a destroyer. Both targets secured. Operation successful. No casualties. The voice over the radio was brief, authoritative. Outside, sirens wailed, red and blue lights spinning against the old hotel walls. Patrol cars, shouts, hurried footsteps. The night exploded in chaos, but for me, it was the sound of fate's net finally closing. Weeks later, I sat in the federal courthouse, its air heavy with secrets. The benches were packed, reporters scribbling furiously. I held Sophia and Leo tight, sensing their small bodies press against me, as if they too felt the suffocating tension. Victoria was beside me, whispering, "Eleanor, it's almost over. You've been so brave." But how could I feel brave when my heart was in pieces? The truth, Chloe's monstrous plan, was about to be laid bare, leaving scars I knew would never truly heal. Chloe appeared in the defendant's box, gaunt, a beige prison jumpsuit hanging on her. Her hair was tangled, her eyes sunken, a ghost of the radiant daughter-in-law I'd known. She looked 10 years older, haunted by her own guilt. Beside her, Cortez trembled, head down, cuffed. I felt nothing. No rage, no pain, just a cold, hollow emptiness. I had loved Chloe. I'd believed she was family, defended her to Ben. But now, she was a stranger, a woman who tried to sell my grandchildren. The prosecutor, a stern, middle-aged man, rose. Your Honor, we are prosecuting a case of money laundering, conspiracy to kidnap children, and participation in a transnational criminal organization. He presented the evidence, each piece a fresh stab. The massive transfer receipt flashed on the big screen, its red numbers making the courtroom murmur. Then the pile of fake passports, the strange names, a stark reminder of the dark network. The 3 plane tickets to Madrid, only Chloe, Sophia, and Leo listed, made me squeeze my grandchildren's hands so hard they wouldn't feel my tremble. But when the photo of Sophia and Leo appeared, their innocent faces marked with those crooked red circles, the room erupted. Women gasped. How horrible! A wave of indignation, of horror, swept through. I instantly pulled Sophia and Leo closer, covering their eyes. Grandma, what is that? Sophia whispered, her voice so innocent. Nothing, sweetie. Just an old photo. I choked out, desperately wanting to scream, to cry until I was empty. How could I tell them their own mother had marked them for a criminal enterprise? The prosecutor's voice grew sharper as he played the recording. Chloe's voice filled the room, desperate but chillingly clear. Cortez, the children are gone. Without them, what are we going to negotiate with? Cortez's curt reply, first go to the hotel. The intermediary is waiting. The room went utterly silent, only Chloe's ragged breathing on the speaker. Every word branded itself into my mind, a knife shattering all memory of the family I thought we were. Chloe's lawyer tried. Your Honor, my client is a victim, manipulated by Julian Cortez. She was unaware of the trafficking network. But the prosecutor retorted, in the recording, the defendant herself says she needed the children to negotiate. He replayed it. Chloe's words echoed, an undeniable confession. Cortez remained silent, head bowed, accepting his fate. The judge's gavel struck. The room froze. Defendants Chloe Lopez and Julian Cortez are sentenced to lengthy prison terms for money laundering, conspiracy to kidnap children, and participation in a transnational criminal organization. The room erupted in gasps, whispers of disgust. I squeezed Victoria's hand, a sigh of relief escaping me, but a bitter knot remained in my throat. Justice, yes, but it couldn't erase the pain. Sophia tugged my blouse. Grandma, where's Mommy? Her question pierced me. I hugged her tight, unable to answer. How could I tell her the mother she loved was being led away in handcuffs? Leo, beside her, looked up with wide eyes. Did Mommy go on a work trip, Grandma? I just nodded, silent tears falling. Yes, sweetie. Very busy. But Grandma and your dad will always be here for you, okay? They nodded, but I knew this truth would forever be an invisible scar on their hearts. As we left the courthouse, the midday sun beat down, but for me, the world felt muted. Victoria gently squeezed my hand. Eleanor, you saved the children. You're their hero. I managed a weak smile. Hero. I didn't feel like a hero. Just a grandmother, a mother, trying to salvage what little remained of my shattered family. The cruel truth had finally surfaced. Months passed since the trial. Slowly, painfully, Sophia's, Leo's, and my lives found a new rhythm in Charleston. I'd rented a small apartment near the central square. Every morning, the church bells would chime, pulling me from nightmares of Chloe and Cortez. It wasn't much, a small living room, a kitchen nook, 2 narrow bedrooms, but it was a sanctuary, a new home. Every morning, I'd make breakfast, comb Sophia's hair, straighten Leo's uniform, walk them to school. Seeing them run into their classroom, waving with radiant smiles, a fragile spark of hope would flicker in my heart, even as the pain still burned like an open wound. One afternoon at the Central Square Market, the air was thick with the scent of hot dogs and fresh fruit. Sophia, eyes shining, chose a comic book. Grandma, this one has a princess who rides a dragon, she exclaimed. You chose well, love. I'll read it tonight. Leo, predictably, tugged Ben's shirt. Dad, a superhero balloon. They fly so high. Ben laughed, pulling out his wallet. I quietly picked out vegetables for chili. These simple moments, like tiny pieces of a shattered mosaic, were slowly, painstakingly putting our family back together. In our apartment, Sophia's clumsy drawings now covered the living room wall. One showed 4 figures, me, Ben, Sophia, Leo, holding hands under a big red roof with a sun and white clouds. "This is our house, Grandma," she declared, proud. I chose the red roof because it's my favorite color. I looked at it, a lump in my throat. Their mother wasn't in the picture, and I knew, no matter how much love we poured in, that emptiness would always linger. I just prayed our love would be enough. Sometimes, I'd still see Chloe's gaunt, lifeless face in newspaper snippets about the case. I'd quickly bury the paper deep in the trash. They were too young to understand. I couldn't let that cruel truth stain their pure smiles. But I knew the day would come when I'd have to tell them, to explain why their mother wasn't there. The thought made me shudder. But I promised myself, when that time came, I'd find a way for them to understand, without letting it destroy them. At night, after Sophia and Leo were asleep, I'd sit at the kitchen table with my old journal. My hand, now steadier, would write. Today, Sophia drew a family. She doesn't know this red roof is all we have, but I will do whatever it takes to make sure it always stands strong. They will grow up surrounded by love and truth, not lies or fear. And never again will anyone dare to use a red pen to mark their faces. I'd close the notebook, turn off the light, leaving only the soft breathing of my 2 little angels and the murmur of the night wind. Sometimes, Chloe still haunts my dreams. Not the woman in the courtroom, but the shy young woman who first came to our house with daisies and a nervous smile. I wake with silent tears, not from nostalgia, but from the sharp pain of betrayed trust. But then I hear Sophia's cheerful call, or Leo's mischievous laughter with his dad, and I know I can't let the past drag me down. I wipe my tears. I get up, and I prepare a new day for my little family. One night, after the children were asleep, Ben sat with me in the living room. "Mom, I found a steady job here," he said, his voice deep firm. "I want to stay in Charleston. Raise the kids with you. We'll make it right." I looked at him, seeing a quiet determination I hadn't seen since he was a boy. "Of course we will, son," I replied, taking his hand. "We'll make it, because we have each other." Ben smiled, and for the first time in months, that smile wasn't burdened by shadows. In the soft darkness, with the streetlight filtering through the curtains, I finally understood. Our family, after the storm, had been reborn. A painful rebirth, yes, built on the shattered pieces of trust and love, but a rebirth full of hope. I stepped onto the balcony, gazing at the quiet street. The church bells chimed in the distance, a gentle reminder that no matter how cruel the past, we, me, Ben, Sophia, and Leo, would keep moving forward. Love, our unwavering beacon, lighting the way. Deep in my heart, I knew this wasn't just our family's tragedy. It was a warning for everyone. Sometimes, the person who hurts you most is the very one you trusted the deepest. Naivety, blind faith, can open a door to unthinkable darkness. But I also learned that the love and courage of a mother, of a grandmother, always find the strength to protect and guide. So I tell you this, learn to look closely at the strange signs. Don't close your eyes, no matter how terrifying the truth. A family is only truly preserved when you have the courage to defend it with all your heart, with unwavering firmness, even in the face of the most agonizing betrayal. So tell me, if you were in my place, facing such an unimaginable betrayal, what would you have done? Would you have stayed silent to keep the peace, or would you have risked everything to uncover the horrifying truth? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I truly want to know what you think. And if this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more real-life narratives that challenge us to look closer and listen harder. Thank you for listening, and until next time, stay safe and stay curious.